Just amazing stories. It really is amazing when you sit there and you look at all the different things that Fats Domino contributed to music. One of the things that I thought was really interesting about the book, and then also I was reading that article you did, 7 Decades of Fats Domino. I knew about John Lennon, the fact that Ain't That a Shame was the first song that he had ever learned. But I didn't know that George Harrison, that the first song that he learned was a Fats Domino song as well.
Yeah, let me talk about that. That is actually a kind of a forgotten Fats Domino song, but it was one of his biggest hits. The song is called I'm in Love Again. Yes, it's me and I'm in love again. And that was a huge, huge hit. It's really bigger in chart-wise than Ain't That a Shame, because it made number 3, where Ain't That a Shame had been number 10. And the significant thing was that in the late 1955, after Ain't That a Shame, Fats was not able to cross over. And again, as that was what Lou Chudd of Imperial Records was so obsessed with, was crossing over from rhythm and blues charts to the pop charts. And you got to realize this is simultaneous as the integration of schools at the time, because in the integration ruling, Supreme Court ruling, was in July of 54. Okay, so this is 1 year later that Fats crossed over with Ain't That a Shame, which was, as I said, it was a very, very significant thing, which people have forgotten about. And but he was not. He had 2 number 1 R&B hits after that, which were All by Myself and Poor Me, and both those topped the R&B charts, but neither one of them even scratched the pop charts. And so in early 1956, Fats finally scratched the pop charts again with Bo Weevil, which was a song like Ain't That a Shame, which was covered by a pop artist, which I didn't mention about Ain't That a Shame, which is very significant, and that's the reason why it really made the top 10, was because Pat Boone had covered Ain't That a Shame and made it a number 1 pop hit, which, if you ever heard Pat Boone's version,
it's not too
awful. Good. But anyway, Teresa Brewer, who had likewise covered Bo Weevil, took that to the top 5, but Fats' version didn't do nearly as well. It only made, I believe, number 36. But still, that was his foot back into the door of the pop charts. Ironically, the subject matter, Bo Weevil, is about an insect that gets into the white man's cotton crop and ruins it. Okay, so it's a little bit of irony there that he got his foot back in the door with Bo Weevil, because that blacks in the late 1800s had actually kind of sniggered about the Bo Weevil. It became kind of a folk hero for blacks because that was what was hurting the white man. So anyway, he got his foot back in the door with Bo Weevil, but when he really crashed the pop charts again was in the spring of 1956 with I'm in Love Again, which is just has a simple little loping beat. Yes, it's me and I'm in love again, and it has a nice little saxophone solo by the great Lee Allen, who played a few of Fats' solos, but most of Fats' solos on all of his hits were played by the great Herbert Hardesty, who is still around and has played with Fats for about 60 years, which is an amazing feat. And anyway, but I'm in Love Again became a huge hit, number 3, and it was heard by George Harrison in Liverpool. First, he said it was the first rock and roll song he had ever heard. It just amazed him. And also, subsequently was recorded by Paul McCartney and a whole bunch of other rock and roll greats.
I got to do a little interview with Fats Domino, and he said that if he got songs that he liked, he would come out with another record. Do you see him coming out with another record at any time?
Sadly, I don't think Fats is going to be coming out with any more records unless it's something that's already been recorded. He really is not performing anymore. He is 82 years old. He probably won't perform anymore because he's an old man. You're lucky if you can perform into your 70s, let alone your 80s. But from what I understand from talking to him, he still plays piano, and he's at home, and we can just be thankful for all the great music that he's provided with us for 60 years. and it's a spectacular legacy. And I got to say that I hope we hope we can do a documentary on him. And also, you got to look at the great tribute that all these great rock and roll stars did to him a couple of years ago with the 2 CD tribute to him. I mean, it's amazing the artists that are on there. Robert Plant and Tom Petty and Nora Jones and Dr. John and John Lennon even on there. And so all doing Fats Domino songs. So just look at that and you'll know how significant this man was. Elvis, like I said, called him the king of rock and roll. Bob Marley said he started playing music with Fats Domino. And so, I mean, just when you look at the scope of his influence, I mean, it's just astounding. But, as far as him performing again, I don't think it's going to happen. But, I think that we should realize his legacy and pay tribute to him, forever, really.
My curiosity, I guess, on that album, the Going Home, the 2 CD tribute to him, did you have a favorite cut from that album? Because I agree, I think that was just an incredible collection.
I can't really pick out a favorite song. I got to admit I haven't really worn it out. I think it's pretty amazing that, for instance, that Robert Plant came down to New Orleans and actually recorded with a local band, and he actually did 2 songs on there. So, I mean, Elton John contributed a song. It's just amazing that so many of these artists just instantaneously said that they would love to be a part of it, and I don't think they were getting paid the big bucks for this. I think they really, really did it out of their heart. That's what I'm saying, is that these artists, these rock and roll artists from the past 30 to 40 years really, they appreciate it Fats in some ways more than the public at large does. I think, Fats is in some ways, bigger than in Europe, where he toured consistently every year from the 70s to 1995. And so, we in Louisiana and certainly around the country need to appreciate our great musical legends more. And certainly Fats is one of the ones that has not been given all of the credit that he deserves, because he is one of the central cornerstones of rock and roll. You could argue he may be the main cornerstone in some ways. Matter of fact, that's what Dave Bartholomew called him. He's the cornerstone.
One final question before you go. What would you like to say to all the listeners out there?
Well, I would love to say that, Fats Domino is an icon, and people should honor him as much as any of the rock and rollers. As I was trying to say before, he was second only to Elvis in rock and roll in the early years, and so he's almost like an unsung hero, because there's only been one book on him, and it took me 20 years to write. It just tells you so much about the whole story of America and the rise of popular music and rhythm and blues and rock and roll specifically, and New Orleans' immense contribution to that. That is something that people have really not realized a lot. They've realized it a little bit more after Katrina, maybe, and New Orleans, the consciousness of New Orleans has increased. But Fats is still has never received his due, and I'm going to throw in a plug for another icon who I think has never received his due, is Louis Jordan from the 1940s. He was the most popular black artist of the 1940s and has never had a book ever. Well, I'm take that back. He has one book, but it's not that good. But he's never had a documentary, is what I meant to say. And likewise with Fats, I'm hopefully working on a documentary on Fats in the near future, and we hope to have that out sometime in the next year. Hopefully that'll help his legacy, because people need to recognize not only the legacy of New Orleans, but also of Fats Domino, who is definitely one of the great legends of rock and roll. I appreciate you talking to me and giving me a chance to spread the word about Fats in New Orleans.